So we've got to August, and you might be fooled into thinking there's not so much that needs to be done in the garden. Obviously there's lots of deadheading, and especially this year, watering and feeding your plants. But there are still quite a few jobs that you can be getting on during the month of August. And one of the things I love about gardening is the ability to get plants for free. And so this year I've been growing my strawberries in hanging baskets. I've got quite a small garden, so not only does it save space, but also it really helps protect them from the slugs and snails, which can be absolutely prevalent even in a hot summer like the one we've been having. So this has been a fairly healthy and productive strawberry plant. Not as productive as another couple that I've got, but what's been happening is it's been producing these long runners. And actually, the runners is how strawberries got their name. People often think it's because you put mulch of straw around them to protect them. Well, people do that, but actually it's the runners that look like straw that give them their names. Now, there is a problem with strawberry runners, is if you have too many, they will sap the energy away from the parent plant. And a lot of people just like to cut them off whilst their strawberries are producing fruit. I do that, but what I also do is I use these little babies to produce more strawberries for next year. Because one of the problems with strawberries is that quite a few people don't realise is that they don't actually stay productive for very long. So really, I will be separating this plant next year into new, fresh, peat-free compost. And I've got my own little stock of brand new plants to keep me happily in strawberries. And because I live in Devon, I'm always going to have some clotted cream with them. So when you are growing a plant on, whether it's from a seed, a cutting, dividing, it's called propagation. And this is almost one of the simplest ways that you can propagate your plants. And if you were growing your strawberries in the ground, which is what a lot of people do, then you literally will just peg this into the ground and leave it until the roots develop, and then you can snip it off. So what you don't want to do at the moment is snip this off and then put it in some compost, because it still needs all the energy from the mother plant. And really, you just think of this as a bit of an umbilical cord. Now, I have grown my strawberries in a peat-free multi-purpose compost, and I'm going to be propagating the runners into a peat-free compost as well. I'm not going to use a seed and cutting, because actually these do need a bit of oomph from the feed that you get in a multi-purpose, in a good multi-purpose peat-free. So what do you need for propagating your strawberry runners? Really simple. Some very sharp snips. It's always good to have sharp tools, because otherwise you risk bruising a plant when you make that cut. And what happens is when you bruise something, it then becomes much more susceptible to pest and disease. So keep your snips sharp. Now, I love these because these are good old florist snips, and they're brilliant for this kind of thing. But I wouldn't use these for kind of pruning back a rose or anything with a hard wood. Other thing you need is some wire. You can get D-pegs just to peg your runners down. I haven't got any. Make sure your wire is fairly thick gauge and also is galvanized, basically, to stop it rusting. And then some pots. Any size pot will do, fairly small, 9 centimetre, smaller. I just like these because they are red, colour of strawberries, and it will remind me what I've got growing. Fairly clean. They don't need to be as clean as if you're sowing seeds, because these are pretty hardy already. And then obviously you need some compost, and I'm going to be using this, as I said, multi-purpose peat-free compost, which has got really good texture, and it's also got some feed. Just a quick word about feed in compost. A lot of people think that the feed balls are actually slug eggs. Slug eggs are white, really round, and also very squidgy, whereas plant food tends to be a different colour, green or orange, and isn't squidgy. So what you want to do is pop your gloves on and then get your pots and start filling them up And here I'm using some really good quality peat-free multi-purpose compost. And I'm going to fill it up right to the top, firming it down as I go. And now I've got my compost ready. What I'm going to do is make my little pegs. I'm just snipping a piece of wire in half. You really don't need too much at all for this. And then what I'm going to do is just use a little garden tool, got a little dibber here, just to bend it round to get a nice U shape. Very simple. And that's ready to peg down my runners. Then I'm going to get my strawberry plant. Here it is, and here are the runners. As you can see, they go all the way back to the parent plant. And I'm not going to snip them. As I said, I'm going to press them down quite firmly into the compost so the join has got really good contact. I'm also going to snip off any flowers or fruits that are growing from that runner because I really want all the energy to be concentrated into forming roots, because roots are what you need for a healthy plant. Then I'm going to get my little wire, push it in, and that just stops the runner popping up as it grows. So really, I don't think you can find an easier way of propagating really quickly. These will take about 3 to 4 weeks to form some roots, and once they form the roots, then you can snip them off from the parent plant and just go right back and snip as far as you can and then snip down there. And then all you need to do is just keep them somewhere protected, away from slugs, away from really direct sun. But they will be okay in a sheltered place throughout the winter, ready to be planted up in the spring when the soil starts to warm up a bit. Some gardeners will say you shouldn't be propagating the runners on when you're still producing fruit. But to be honest, it's a job I'm going to forget, and the runners are going to get far too long to be any good for propagating. So I really do suggest, especially if you've got a strawberry plant that's coming to the end of its life, to propagate from runners. It's so simple, and it just means you can keep doing it year after year with each plant, and you will never have to buy another strawberry plant again. A little tip, if you are buying strawberries, is to try and buy a variety that you don't normally find in the supermarket. So Alsante is a really classic strawberry plant that you'll see in garden centres. It's now starting to rain, typical. Try not to go for that one because it's not as flavourful as some of the others. And this is a gorgeous strawberry called Marie de Bois. And honestly, the flavours are incredible. Now look at this tiny little hanging basket. I have been picking strawberries every day. Admittedly, not enough to have a feast, but enough to have with my breakfast every day or just as a little snack. Oh. And the flavour is absolutely incredible. And another tip is pick your strawberries when it's sunny, because that sunshine really helps turn any starch into sugar. So you pick your strawberries on a sunny morning, I guarantee you they will be much sweeter than if you pick them in the evening or on a really cloudy day, a bit like it is now.